Welcome back, History Alive explorers. And if you're just joining us, you've stepped into our special series exploring the hidden histories of countries often labeled as part of the axis of dictatorships. In our last episode, we delved into the bewildering world of North Korea. If you haven't seen it, go check it out after this. Today, we're shifting our gaze to a nation that spans 11 time zones, boasts incredible cultural depth, and has, in its modern incarnation, become a quintessential example of centralized power, Russia. To understand Russia's present, we must first journey through its colossal past. For centuries, this vast land was ruled by Czars, powerful monarchs who held absolute authority, shaping an empire that stretched from Europe to the Pacific. This era of imperial rule, steeped in tradition and often marked by expansion, lasted until the tumultuous year of 1917. The Russian Revolution violently swept away the Czars, leading to a brief, chaotic period of provisional government before giving way to something entirely new: the Soviet Union. This new communist state, forged in the fires of revolution, promised a workers' paradise, but quickly evolved into a totalitarian giant, controlling every facet of life for nearly 70 years. Then, in 1991, in a stunning and remarkably swift collapse, the mighty Soviet Union disintegrated, giving birth to the modern Russian Federation. Within that Soviet era, one name casts an especially long and dark shadow: Joseph Stalin. He rose from humble beginnings to become the dictator of the Soviet Union after Lenin's death. His rule was characterized by extreme paranoia, brutal purges that sent millions to their deaths in gulags or through executions, forced collectivization that led to widespread famine, and an iron grip of control over every aspect of Soviet society. Stalin transformed the Soviet Union into a military and industrial power, but at an unimaginable human cost. His death in 1953 brought an end to an era of terror, but the legacy of his authoritarianism and the preference for strong leadership would subtly linger in the Russian psyche. Now let's fast forward to the 21st century and focus on the figure who has dominated Russia's political landscape for nearly a quarter of a century: Vladimir Putin. His story isn't one of revolutionary zeal or dynastic succession. It's a tale of quiet ambition, calculated moves, and a deep understanding of power. Born in Leningrad, now St. Petersburg, in 1952, Putin grew up in a modest apartment, far from the halls of power. He wasn't a firebrand, but a disciplined student, particularly drawn to martial arts like judo. But his true calling, it seems, lay in the shadows. After graduating law school, Putin joined the KGB, the Soviet Union's notorious intelligence agency. For years, he worked as a foreign intelligence officer, primarily in East Germany during the Cold War. This was a formative period, where he honed skills in information gathering, counterintelligence, and understanding the levers of state power, all discreetly behind the scenes. When the Soviet Union dissolved, Putin returned to St. Petersburg, entering local politics. He quickly rose through the ranks, eventually moving to Moscow and joining Boris Yeltsin's presidential administration. He became prime minister in 1999. Then, on New Year's Eve 1999, in a surprise move, Yeltsin resigned, naming Putin as acting president. Putin won the subsequent election in 2000, and thus began an era that would fundamentally reshape Russia and its relationship with the world. How has Vladimir Putin managed to perpetuate his rule for so long, effectively becoming Russia's longest-serving leader since Stalin? It's a complex blend of calculated political maneuvering, a crackdown on dissent, and notably, genuine popular approval at various times. One key strategy has been the elimination or neutralization of political opposition. Critics, journalists, and opposition leaders have faced various fates. Some have been imprisoned on questionable charges, others have been forced into exile, and tragically, a number have been assassinated, both inside Russia and abroad. Cases like those of Anna Politkovskaya, Boris Nemtsov, and Alexei Navalny are stark reminders of the perils of challenging the Kremlin. Laws restricting public assembly and freedom of speech have also tightened, stifling any organized resistance. Simultaneously, Putin has maintained significant popular support, especially in his early years. After the chaotic 1990s under Yeltsin, Putin brought a sense of stability and renewed national pride. He oversaw a period of economic growth fueled by rising oil prices, which improved living standards for many Russians. His image as a strong, decisive leader who restored order and projected Russia's power on the global stage resonated deeply with a population weary of perceived weakness and disorder. This popularity has been consistently bolstered by state-controlled media. Despite the facade of democracy, many international observers classify Russia under Putin as an authoritarian regime or even a dictatorship. Why? Because the core tenets of a functioning democracy, free and fair elections, an independent judiciary, a free press, and genuine political pluralism, are severely compromised. The Kremlin exercises extensive control over information. State television, the primary source of news for most Russians, consistently presents a narrative that glorifies Putin, demonizes dissent, and portrays Western nations as hostile. Censorship is widespread, with independent media outlets being shut down or labeled as foreign agents. Online speech is heavily monitored and restricted. This creates an information bubble for much of the population, making it difficult to access alternative viewpoints or factual accounts that contradict the official narrative. This control extends to everyday life. While there's a degree of personal freedom, any collective action or expression of dissent that challenges the state is met with swift repression. Protests are often dispersed, and participants face arrest and harsh penalties. The judicial system is widely seen as lacking independence, often used as a tool to silence critics rather than uphold justice impartially. The contrast between the ruling elite and the average Russian citizen is stark. While Vladimir Putin's exact personal wealth remains shrouded in secrecy, estimates from various sources, including former associates and investigative journalists, place it in the tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars, making him one of the wealthiest individuals globally. Reports frequently detail vast hidden palaces, luxury yachts and private jets, amenities far removed from the lives of ordinary Russians. Meanwhile, for the majority of the Russian population, life is a different story. Despite Russia's immense natural resources and the wealth accumulated by a select few, the poverty rate remains a significant concern, especially outside major cities. Access to quality healthcare and education can be uneven. Compared to developed Western countries, Russia's economic development, while showing pockets of progress, still grapples with issues of income inequality, reliance on resource exports, and a lack of diverse economic opportunities. For many, daily life involves navigating bureaucratic hurdles, dealing with corruption, and relying on state services that are often underfunded. So why is it so incredibly difficult to remove Putin from power? Several factors converge to make this a near impossible task. First, the ruthless repression of opposition is a cornerstone of his rule. As we discussed, challenging the Kremlin is a dangerous endeavor. The security forces are powerful, efficient, and unwavering in their commitment to maintaining the status quo. The consequences for dissent are so severe, ranging from imprisonment and torture to outright assassination, that few are willing to risk everything. Second, Russia has, in its long history, never truly experienced a sustained, robust period of full democracy. The brief post-Tsarist republic collapsed quickly, and the democratic experiments of the 1990s were often chaotic and associated with economic hardship and crime. For many Russians, the concept of a strong, centralized leader is not just familiar, but often viewed as a necessary force for stability and national pride. The idea of a vibrant, messy democracy with diverse voices and frequent changes in leadership is alien to their historical experience. This makes them, in a way, accustomed to a more authoritarian style of governance, and it may even be perceived as normal or desirable for maintaining order. Finally, the pervasive anti-Western propaganda plays a crucial role. The state media constantly portrays Western democracies as decadent, hypocritical, and inherently hostile to Russia. This narrative creates an us versus them mentality, rallying the population around Putin as the only leader capable of defending Russia's interests and values against external threats. This deeply ingrained suspicion of the West makes any pro-democracy movements, which are often framed as Western-backed attempts to destabilize Russia, immediately suspect to a large portion of the population. Now the question inevitably arises: Vladimir Putin is 72 years old. While he appears to maintain his health, age marches on. And as he has systematically dismantled any potential rivals or successors, there appears to be no clear heir apparent within the current power structure. This creates a fascinating, yet potentially volatile conundrum for Russia's future. Could the eventual absence of Putin, whether through natural causes or other unforeseen circumstances, finally open the door for Russia to embrace a more democratic path? Or is the system he has so meticulously built, with its deep-seated authoritarian tendencies and ingrained anti-Western sentiment, too robust to change, even without its architect. Could the post-Putin era be even more unpredictable? Or perhaps lead to new forms of authoritarianism? What do you think, History Alive explorers? Could Russia, after centuries of Czars, Soviets, and now Putin, finally find its way to true democracy? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Russia's complex history and its modern reality. This is just one chapter in our exploration of the axis of dictatorships. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to History Alive, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next journey into the hidden corners of global power. See you soon.